Welcome to the another episode of r/entitled parents. Let's start with today's first news story posted by SP44311. My mom thinks she's entitled to her grandchild at all times. My husband and I live with my mom cause she's a low-income earner. She cannot afford to pay for her mortgage, so we help her pay for her mortgage and house maintenance, etc. I also pay for most of her bills and all her car notes. In return, she helps with babysitting when she's free. Lately she's started to become controlling towards my 2-year-old. She has yelled and screamed at her almost every other day, said nasty things. Couple days ago, my daughter wanted to sleep with her, so I let her. Middle of the night, daughter started crying profusely. So I came out to check, and was picking up my daughter from her bed, to come sleep with me. My mom suddenly snatched her away from me, and said no, she cannot sleep with you, let her go. I was shocked, and said that is my daughter, what is wrong with you? She then said, but she is my grandchild, continued to pull her from me, while my daughter was crying. The next morning, she acted as if nothing happened and tried to converse with me. It was extremely bizarre. Since then I can't look at her the same way, and have not spoken to my mom. I had talked about this with my direct relatives, and they said I'm wrong, took my mom's side. I'm honestly not sure what to say anymore. Am I the bad one here? For context, my mom was borderline abusive to me my entire life, and never took accountability for any of her wrongdoings. Everything she did, she claimed, was because she wanted good things for me. I confronted her many times about her yelling at my child, but she has not stopped, claiming your daughter is bad, so I have to teach her. My daughter is literally 2, can barely speak. Not sure what is so bad about her spilling water, or wanting to draw on the floor. Update: lots of folks are asking why I allow my daughter to be in her life. It's a long story of how I got there, but over the years, I thought my mom had changed, and became a nicer person. I've always assumed it must have been hard being a single mom raising kids. That's why I could understand why she was angry at us lots of times. And my daughter's obviously not near her anymore after what happened. I'm still processing the situation and trying my best here. People have given some suggestion to OP on this post. Let's see. Your mother's financial problems are not your problem. There is help for low-income people. But if she was borderline abusive to you, why in the hell would you open up your daughter to the same behaviors? You need to get out of your mother's home, and if she is that badly off, and if all of your other relatives think she was right, she can live with them. But get the hell out with your kid as soon as possible. You, your husband, with your daughter need to find your own place. Taking care of your mom's financials is holding your family back. With the former abuse you suffered as a child, you are endangering your own child to that same abuse. If the rest of your extended family is so much in favor of your mom, then they can pay all her bills. Check your local laws for anything regarding grandparents' rights involving grandchildren. Some places give grandparents the rights to spend time with their grandchildren, while other places do not grant grandparents rights to grandchildren. Your mother is abusive and toxic. She has not changed or mellowed. She is repeating the abusive behavior you experienced, but now it is your 2-year-old she is abusing. No matter what culture you are in, child abuse is child abuse. If you do not want your child to suffer the same abuse you did, you need to get your family away from your mother. Those other family members who are on her side can step in and prop her up financially. If she can't afford a house, she can sell hers and get an apartment, or move in with relatives other than you. Your child comes first. You should not be leaving her with someone who says, your daughter is bad, so I have to teach her. The only things your mother is teaching your daughter are that family she trusts will hurt her, and she is bad. This is not what a 2-year-old should be having to deal with. Get your family out of that house. You are hurting your daughter, mentally and emotionally. Your family only thinks you're wrong, because they have the same abusive mindset. They can take care of your mom then. Please, for the sake of your child, do better. Let's read today's second news story, posted by awesomeandy1991. My father won't come to my wedding, so I've made a few posts within the past few years regarding my insane relatives. Long story short, for those that don't wanna read my old posts, father's wife is a terrible person who I have absolutely no desire to be near. Well, I'm getting married very soon. I have tried to extend an olive branch towards my father out of an obligation to myself. The only condition is that his wife does not attend. With his invite, I sent him a letter explaining as much, but still kept it very polite and positive. He never sent his RSVP back, so I reached out to him. He stated that he will not come unless he is allowed to bring his wife. He stated that he is tired of putting his feelings aside for others. Yay, because my wedding is totally about your fifis. This is the kind of that reminds me why we have a trained or non-existent relationship to begin with. His wife will always and forever be his priority. To hell with his kids who were traumatized and have PTSD from her treatment of them during child. People have given some suggestion to OP on this post. Let's see. Stick to your guns. Do not let her come. If dad won't come because of it, that is on him. My response would have been thanks for being the of a father you have always been. Makes the NC decision so much easier. Congratulations OP, have a great wedding day knowing that you do not have to put up with anyone's feelings, but your own feeling of joy. Sorry you're that is such a little man who puts himself first. Make sure to have some kind of security in case they show up. Hopefully, you have pictures, or even better, if security knows them. Also, just in case, make sure your vendors have a password, so she does not try to screw up your wedding, since she is not invited. You need to be safe from crazy people. I'm sorry you are going through this, but your father has proven yet again where his priorities lie, and it's not with his children. I'd send him an email or text and tell him something like, I'm sorry you feel you have to put your own feelings aside by not bringing your wife to my wedding. It's strange how even on a day meant to celebrate your son's happiness and commitment to another, you do not love your own son enough to accept his request. While I know you love your wife, you must understand by now how poorly your wife treated your children. The fact you always take her side against your own children is the reason you have such a strained to non-existent relationship with them. Yet you only blame the children for this. I'd like to say you will be missed at my wedding, but you really won't. I invited you to extend an olive branch to you, but you are only happy when you light my peace offerings on fire. So be it. But do not expect to have any involvement in my life going forward, and that includes any children I may have in the future. I will not let my children be put through the same hell I had to go through from your wife. Have a good life, and don't contact me again. Let's read today's third news story, posted by Crybaby Moon. Entitled Mom Wants My Annual Pass Discount. I haven't been to this sub in so long, but this happened to me this week and I have to share it somewhere. So I have an annual pass for Efteling, one of the most famous theme parks in Europe. I pay €200+ a year for my annual pass. This pass comes with benefits, such as a 5% discount on souvenirs and food. I happened to be in a souvenir shop, where I bought some pins, because I collect them. In front of me is a woman with a stroller full of goods. No kid though, like kids PJs, blankets, plushes, all sorts of merch or souvenirs. She just finished paying, and she sees me holding my pass. She suddenly looks very happy, and says to me, "Oh, you have an annual pass. I was looking for an annual pass holder to befriend, so I could get a discount." Her actual words. The cashier just looks at me with a hell no face. She turns to the cashier and says, "Can I return all this and buy it again with her discount?" To which he obviously says no. She leaves the shop, somewhat annoyed, and I go and pay for my pins. I chatted with the cashier for a bit, and he sighed and said, "The audacity of some people. Even if I had met her before, and she asked for a discount, I would have definitely said no. I pay for my annual pass with my own money. If she wants a discount, she should get her own pass. The only people who can benefit from my discount are my friends, family and me, not some random lady who buys a shit ton of souvenirs and feels entitled to other people's discounts." Later on I walked out of the shop and heard her talking to her friend or sister IDK about how she could have gotten a 10% discount if people were nice to her. Lady, it's only 5%, and I'd be surprised if she actually found somebody to give her the discount with that attitude. What's your take on this? It's shop policy of course, but what would you do if someone asked for a discount like that? People have given some suggestion to OP on this post. Let's see. If she can afford a crap ton of overpriced souvenirs, she can afford her own pass. I'd let her do the return, then walk out of the store before she purchased them again, so she'd have to waste her time redoing the purchase. You say it's against the policy and your card could be revoked. Boom. Easy. Don't do it. It could get you in trouble with the park. They may have a policy against that, and you may lose your right to get a pass in the future. Not worth it. Why are there people like that? Thanks for sharing. To Efteling. I used to live in Germany. My dad was in the RAF, and as a young kid we'd head over all the time. At uni, I became good friends with a Dutch person who was over studying. Stayed good friends when she went home, and have visited a few times. First time I went over, she took me back as a birthday surprise and I loved it just as much as the first time. Going back next year, so my daughter can experience it. Let's read today's fourth and final story, posted by Cass the Dork. Narcissistic, soon to be, Phil breaks my adult toy. Backstory, I'm a female, age of 30, moved in with my now fiance, age of 26, back in January 2022. His stepmom owns the house, and his dad owns nothing. His stepmom wanted us to watch the house for them while she did her travel nursing, so someone would be around to keep the cats fed. And of course the dad went with her. We were not staying there for free, they still charged us rent, and we had to pay all the utilities. But between the two of us, it wasn't an issue. It was a really nice experience being able to finally live with the man I loved. And everything was going perfect for the first 3 months. Then we got the notice that they were coming back because the contract was over and they would be visiting for a couple weeks before his stepmom got another contract. So I went into super cleaning mode because I didn't want it to look like we lived there, right? Lol. I cleaned every room except mine because I wasn't expecting them to go anywhere near it or in it without asking. Just as I never went into their room because that's their stuff. I have a lot of NSFW stuff laying around in my room because it's my private space. That is going to be important later. So the day comes and they arrive. It's all pleasant greetings and ordering pizza because nobody wants to cook. And somehow a conversation comes up where his dad asked me if I cooked any recipes from his binder of recipes. I told him I didn't because I usually just cook things I know and didn't think to look for a book to get a new recipe. He then decided to go on a hunt to find his binder and looked everywhere in the house and started getting frantic. Tossing the couches apart, lifting tables and things going everywhere. My fiance was in our room looking for it, so I figured that was good enough and his dad wouldn't try looking in there himself. Our room is downstairs in a basement with 3 other rooms, and I didn't think much of it when his dad came upstairs and asked me where some scissors were, and I handed him a pair. About 30 minutes later after food arrived he looked above the fridge in the super high cabinet and finally found his recipes where he left them. We ate food and watched a movie, and then after saying goodnight we went to our room. As I was about to lay down I noticed one of my toys was in a weird spot. Then I got a better look and the charging cord was cut up into 4 separate pieces with the USB still plugged into the wall and the other part still inside the toy. My heart sank, and I showed my fiance what happened. He at first thought maybe the cats got to it, but they were clean cuts, and the loose parts were in a pile and not scattered. I no longer felt safe in that house. My fiance didn't want to have to confront his dad, because he is extremely hard-headed, and it would probably lead to them fighting, and then us getting kicked out. So he begged me to be strong and to not bring it up. I cried so hard that night. Not only did I want to confront him, but I wanted him to pay me for the toy because it was super expensive. I felt so violated. I avoided his dad like the plague for the whole time he was there until the stepmom took me aside to ask if I was okay because she knew I was avoiding her husband and wanted to know what happened. So I told her what he did and she looked mortified and said she would talk to him. The next day his dad went out early in the morning to go work out for about an hour, but didn't come home till late in the afternoon. Me and the stepmom were just having a nice talk in the living room when he came back and was holding his hand like a kid trying to pretend they are injured and wanted attention. He went straight to the freezer, got an ice pack that made a scene of going to the bathroom. His wife called out asking what was up, and he said, nothing, like an immature kid. She asked me if I saw what he grabbed, and I told her he grabbed an ice pack. She called out to him again saying, "What happened? Did you hurt yourself?" And again like an immature kid said, "You don't want to know," and closed the bathroom door. He eventually came out and came straight to my face very aggressively and said, "Well, if I wasn't so upset about being accused of cutting your cord, this wouldn't have happened to my hand." He came up with a BS story about how he was shopping at a gas station and some guy was being abusive to his girlfriend and he told the guy to stop and the guy swung at him and so he beat the guy up and now he has a busted hand. He then proceeded to tell me that it was my fiance that cut my cord and he needed to be questioned instead. I was at a loss of words because of how stupid he was and that his wife believed him. I was going to tell him to f off with that BS, but I had to go to work. So on my way to work I texted my fiance everything that his dad said. He later told me he expected something like that to happen because every time his dad gets caught in a lie, he has to make up a stupid story of him being a victim or some kind of hero to make people empathize with him. For example, he cheated on his wife and got caught. So he went out for a while and supposedly a couple of guys tried to jump him and he killed them both seriously, like and his wife believed it. I don't even know what to say to that. When my fiance was younger he caught his dad in a lie and his dad accidentally poured beer on his Xbox he bought with his own money. He has the mentality of if I'm wrong then everyone else is. Anyway, back to the story. So my fiance was going to talk with him privately and tell his dad he owed me money for the toy and to apologize to me. Unfortunately his dad cancelled their hangout and ended up leaving the next day with nothing being resolved. Another few months go by and another in-between visit. I completely ignore his dad, not even give him a glance or recognition that he is there. He pulls my fiance aside one night and tells him he forgives him and has put the whole thing behind him. I laughed so hard. He is such a narcissist that he believes his own lies. Funny thing is, the toy isn't just for me, my fiance uses them too, so he has no reason to maliciously destroy something he likes. This visit was a lot longer, and everyone was so annoying. They wouldn't say anything to my face. They would tell my fiance things to telephone to me. The last thing was the stepmom saying I needed to be nice to her husband because he's in a good mood when they are out traveling. But when they come back and I'm ignoring him, it puts him in a bad mood and he snaps. Oh geez, I wonder why. Maybe I'm just a reminder that he's an a**hole that got caught. She said, if I didn't act nice they would kick us out. Oh please just do it. Find someone else willing to pay you rent and all the utilities and feed your cats that puke everywhere and can't stop eating plastic and find wrappers in the litter box. OMG. I don't miss it. So I complied and just stayed in my room the whole time. Only left to go to work. Christmas came and it was a performance of a lifetime. I felt sick to my stomach pretending to tolerate him. We didn't get him any presents except a gift card. I got the stepmom a lot of pamper presents and an auto feeder for the cats because they are huge. They got us a bunch of hand-me-downs of extra cooking supplies and household items they no longer needed since they are now no longer doing the travel nursing. And now I'm so happy to be moved out as of January 3rd this year and we are on our own and don't have to see them every day. We are going to have a family talk soon because if his dad doesn't own up to the shit he has done we are going 100% no contact. People have given some suggestion to OP on this post. Let's see. Beating the crap out of someone causes damage to the hands like cuts, scrapes, bruises, and swelling. If his hands looked normal, I'd have called BS right then and there. I'd tell stepmom that I'm not humoring him to keep the peace. Seems to me that your family talk is going to be a waste of time, so why bother? I'd have accidentally spilled a full bottle of red wine over his beloved cooking manual, leaving it to soak overnight to really ruin the pages. Why is your fiance not protecting you from his vicious family member? Run away. Honestly, reading this is a situation where your fiance needs to deal with his dad. Like a deal with your dad and his crazy ways that are definitely not normal because quite frankly couldn't see you marrying into that family. OP. Thank you.